Grab your gear. It's time to run into life with the woman who's running all over the world, Caren Ware. Who'd you run into today?
Well, I have some special guests, but I got to explain to you why I have these special guests, because I have a huge race this weekend. It is May. So in May, it's Cinco De Miles, and we've got our bling, and we've got our hats. Oh, I didn't put my hat on.
You didn't put your hat on.
Oh, wait. I'm supposed to start with my hat on, but, you can't see that if you're just listening. But anyway, I have my sombrero.
And what do you call this silly race? Not a silly race, but you have a silly name for it.
It's Cinco De Miles, not Cinco De Miles. And it's really based around that if you listen to my past podcast, I raised my own 2 children and 5 inner city boys and 1 girl, so 8 of us. And they were from inner city LA. They're from Belmont High School, and they were newcomers, and they were predominantly from Mexico, a few from South Central America. And so we're going to just celebrate cultures like no tomorrow. We got mariachis, we got a live dancing horse.
But this is a running and walking event. What was everybody dressed up in, mariachi clothing and mariachi music? Are they going to dance? Are they going to work out? Or are they just going to run here?
All of the above, just because we want to have, if you think about it, sports kind of transcends age, gender, cultures, and just, if you're not doing anything this Saturday, Bolsa Chica, State Beach, Lot 25, we are going to have a lot of fun.
I've been to it. It is a party. And so why do you have fitness people here today?
Yeah, so I have fitness people here today because we're going to merge in all these cultures. I named the first race Cinco de Mayo, just making fun of my poor Spanish and learning Spanish. And we had reactions saying, what do you know about the Spanish culture, your blonde hair? And they had no idea that I had, raised and helped these kids get off to college, and they're all college graduates. But we're going to have all kinds of hair. In fact, Travis was teasing. He goes, I'm going to be the no hair. We're going to have all different kinds of cultures.
We started late because he was fussing with his hair.
Yeah.
I need a sombrero.
Exactly.
It was me. And I just have a special heart for these people. And they just bought and opened up a gym in Bolsa, Chica, Huntington Beach, just down the street from where we do all our races. And they're going to be the personalities that jump on the stage and do the warm-up for Cinco de Miles. So I thought, you guys need to know who they are and their stories. So I'm going to start with Travis. Take us from here.
Apparently, it's an amazing story here.
Yeah,
too.
and what did we name? What did we title this podcast?
I typed in from felon to fitness, so I'm wondering where this thing goes here.
Whoa.
So take it from
it's
here.
It's about to get real, and it's going to get real at that race, too. So get ready to shake, senoritas, because when we lead that warm-up, it's going to be a blast. It's going to be a blast. Yeah, I've been in love with fitness since I was a young child.
Let's identify the 2 of you here first.
Oh, sure, absolutely. Let's talk about it. This is my wife and business partner and boss, Cyndy Barnes. And
she's a Cindy with 2 Y's. So I'm a Caren with a C. So she spells. How do you spell your name?
Cyndy.
Yeah.
None of your mothers knew how to spell.
Right.
Yeah.
I knew we were special.
Cindy's number 11, according to Shape Magazine, of the most inspiring women of all time.
Wow. Wow. I'm inspired already. Okay.
Anything to add to that, Cyndy?
No.
All right.
Yeah.
And I'm Travis Barnes. We're the owners of the Impact X Performance in Huntington Beach, also in Sarah, Pennsylvania. And we are partners in the franchise Impact X Performance as well.
So should I tell them I'm going to tell you how I met them.
Okay, please
Because you guys already know, if you're listening to this podcast, that I'm the woman of 1,000 words that only have 10 that may have meaning to them. My communication style
I'm glad
is
you said that.
all over the map. That's why we're here in OC Talk Radio, so that Paul Roberts can keep us on task. And I had all these and-ums, and it's my weakness. And I actually signed up and went to a studio for commentators in Hollywood, and I found Travis to have an amazing voice, and you can tell him about convention that he did for communications, and so I signed up, and I still have a lot to learn.
It was great working with you.
But I'm coming along, yeah.
Yeah, it was great. That was our Impact Speakers course that we did. Yeah, that was awesome.
So what is Impact X? What does it do? Give us a summary of what you guys do.
Yeah, we're the first studio holistic franchise, and what that means is everything under one roof. So we do group training. We have our Stretch X, which is yoga. We have our semi-private training, which is a customized program where you're just being trained with just a few. We have private training. We have a wonderful recovery suite that includes cold plunge, sauna, compression boots, fiber acoustic chairs. We also have stretch services, much like the Stretch Lab. So many people go to different places to get all this. They're like, oh, I got a yoga membership over here. I got a group training membership. We keep it all under one roof. So we're the all-in-one solution.
And you do speakers thing? How does the speaking work into it?
Yeah, so our partner Todd Durkin, he's an amazing guy. He's quite a legend in fitness and quite a legend when it comes to speaking across the country. So we partnered together to put together all of his gems and whatnot that he's learned over the years for speaking into a speaker's course.
Is this like motivational speaking?
Yes, he is a true motivation locomotive. You know, he just does so well. He's like a Tony Robbins, and he puts on his own events. We go to Whitefish, Montana each year. That's our mountain retreat, and he just pure soul and energy, just inspiring people.
Fitness seems to be more than just lifting weights and working out. It seems to be more of a whole body, mind, soul connection. Am I making too much of this stuff here?
No, Paul, I'm so glad to hear you say that, because Impact X Performance is a faith-based franchise. And that's not to exclude anybody. It's just simply, it's a mind, body, spirit journey. And what that means is, you know, you start to get your body in shape, and then suddenly, you know, you start to think a little better, and then you're also feeling maybe a little deeper sense throughout your body, to where it's like, wow, this is a spiritual experience. So we try to nurture all of that. Todd hosts a monthly chapel for anybody that wants to attend. He sends out little soul fuels and things like that. So we're very, very proud of our core values that are faith-based.
So I take it changed your life somehow, because I hear the title Felon somewhere in there. Was that in your background here?
Yeah, you know.
I don't want to push you into something you don't want to talk about here.
No, it's a book on Amazon.com called Journey Fitness. So I'm an open book, literally. And yeah, I've been in love with fitness since a young age. I grew up in a broken home, and I found that being fit on the outside made me feel better on the inside. And I had this dream to always work in fitness. I actually had a dream to come to the West Coast, and now we're finally here. So this is literally like 30 some years in the making that we're here. But where my first fitness job landed me was Las Vegas, Nevada, where I met my wonderful, beautiful wife that's sitting next to me today.
Right.
I was working in the Gold's Gym. And back then, a lot of bodybuilding. I was a young, impressionable guy. I got exposed to some recreational drugs, and I just wound up falling under that influence.
Recreating a little too much here, recreating a little too much here.
Yeah, recreating too much, trying to live all 24 hours in a 24-hour town.
Yeah.
I obviously had moments of clarity because I married my wife along the way, but I also had those not so sober moments, and it actually wound up being a thing where I drove into the middle of a federal investigation, giving someone a ride, and it cost me 10 years of my life. I was actually incarcerated for 10 years.
Oh my God.
Just according to the quantity of these pills that we had in the trunk. And
you drove into this accidentally.
Yeah, and you know, I don't want to minimize. I did a lot of things wrong in my addiction, you know. That is actually what I went to prison for. But I mean, you know, drug addiction, it leads you down some crazy paths where, you know, you're literally selling your soul for your addiction and doing a lot of things that you shouldn't be doing. But in that particular day, those pills traveled in my dominion and control. They call that constructive possession for about 20 minutes, and that 20 minutes cost me 10 years.
Wow. So Cyndy, talk about that. You hung in there, apparently. You did.
I know. That's like a story in itself.
Sure
Let's
did.
go.
I
would have said
That's why they
adios.
put her in the top 11.
I would have put my sombrero on like Caren and said adios.
Yeah. Saint Cyndy, Todd calls her. Go ahead, Cyndy.
Yep. So, yeah, I mean, you know, we both clearly had an addiction at the time, and he went to prison for 10 years, and so I visited for 10 years, for an entire decade. It started out every Friday and every Sunday was our visits.
Didn't people say, your family, your friends say, hey, just drop it, move on?
Oh, everybody.
Everybody, including me.
Everybody.
Including you.
Everybody.
I was originally sentenced to 188 months, and there's no parole in the federal system. So for those that don't count months that fast, it was 15 years, 8 months. And so when Cyndy came for one of those initial visits and I had some time to process, I remember saying to her, I said, you know, you're a young woman, and I'm going to be here a long time.
Yeah.
You need to just get on with your life, you know. And she was just shaking her head in disbelief at what I was saying. And What do you remember what you said? I'll let you take it from here.
Well, so the other little tidbit to the story is that we do have a daughter, and so when all the court stuff was going on, that's when I was pregnant. The actual night that the arrest happened
Oh
with
my
the
God.
pills,
We didn't even know.
and we didn't know at the time that I was even pregnant, and so gave birth to our daughter Destiny. And so by the time the sentencing and everything happened, she was just 1 year old. And so Travis was like, you're a young woman, and what he just told you, he said, and that you should get on with your life. So I told him that I thought he was being extremely selfish. That,
He was being selfish.
Yes, he was being selfish.
He's trying to be
And-
selfless and say, just, I love you, but go. I'm going to let you go here.
Right. And so I told him he was selfish and that we had a daughter that needed to know who her father was, and he could still be a dad from inside the prison walls, and he could still be a husband to me, and that we were gonna visit and stand beside him. And at that point it was almost 16 years that he was sentenced to, and I knew I would be there the day that he walked out of the prison. I just knew.
If that was a definition for a keeper, Travis, I think she just gave it.
Yeah,
to
you don't
here.
throw that one back.
So tell us, did fitness play a part of staying, I don't know what you say,
Staying
good?
sane,
Yeah.
surviving.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely, for sure. And I just don't want Cyndy. She's very modest, very humble. The reason she was able to visit on Fridays and Sundays is that was her condition for taking a job. She said, I need Fridays and Sundays off. So she worked in a deli during that period of
Oh
time.
my God.
And me being interested in fitness, I actually trained people for tunas and stamps. There would be different people, sometimes mobsters or whatnot, that would be coming up, hey kid, I'm going home soon. Can you help me lose some weight? And
right.
tunas and stamps was actually the prison
Currency.
Currency.
Right.
Yeah, there's the word. Because, you weren't handing people dollars, but they're like, I'll give you some stamps to write home. I'll give you some extra tunas so you have some protein and you can train me. And that's what I did. I just kind of made that my college. I made it my fitness. I made it that time to become a better father because Cyndy gave me that accountability. So I wrote letters home every day. I drew the face at Halloween for the pumpkin. Drew a treasure map at Easter.
And how did you get sober during that period of time? Because prison, I'm told, is filled with drugs.
It is. Actually, that's an interesting story in itself. There was a lot of times, I'll call them God winks. Initially in prison, they were going to put me on Thorazine. And, there's, of course, other drugs that get in there in different ways, but there's drugs that they'll easily hand you, too. It's just part of your keeping a prisoner medicated. And they said, oh, this guy's up all hours when we walk by his cell, we should probably give him some medication and put him to sleep, type of thing, And I remember coming to the first pill call, they call it, and I'm supposed to get this medication, and I realized, as tempting as that is to sleep this away, drugs got me here, and I feel like if I just keep on with this, I'm really just, slapping my daughter and wife in the face because, this is just such a mockery of, what I'm doing, so I refused it, and she said, oh, well, you're going to be in trouble refusing this, and
Yeah.
I'm like, well, is there a jail inside the jail?
What more can you do to me?
Yeah, I kind of feel like I'm already in trouble, And so, yeah, I refused that. And I started just getting back into fitness and realizing that I had lost myself along the way. And I don't know exactly why I allowed myself to be compromised for acceptance or love that you were getting from other people or whatever the case might be. But I really did compromise myself, and I found my way back to me.
And
Wow.
did you, a lot of people sometimes find religion or find other things to hold on to? Is that where you say this is a faith-based organization?
Yeah, so
I'm assuming you were not a man of faith or as faithful as you might have been when you're out partying in Las Vegas here.
yeah, interesting thing happened. When I refused the Thorazine, the first thing that happened was they said, okay, he's refusing his medications. What are we going to do?
Put him in solitary.
Well, actually, what they decided to do is give me counseling.
Ah.
Yeah, they said, why don't we send him for counseling? Because if he won't take his meds, that's our rule. We have to do that. And isn't it interesting that in the midst of a jail, that there would be a faith-based counselor? And I remember her asking me questions like, well, how's your faith? And I'm like, well, I haven't really thought about that.
How's yours?
Yeah, right. And I was like, okay, this is interesting. And she said, like, what's your opinion? Like, do you believe in God? And I said, yeah, I believe in God. I just don't know if he's going to show up right now. She said, show up. Tell me about that. And I said, well, I mean, I believe in him. I just don't know, if I can count on him to get me out of this, to get me through this.
Is he listening? Is anybody up there?
Right. And she said, tell me about your relationship with your father. And I came from a broken home. And there were times where I wanted my father to be there, and he didn't show up, even though he had promised to be there. And she helped me to understand that I had put in human characteristics on a heavenly father.
There you go.
And that there are two different things there. And so I was like, wow, okay, I didn't know that. And so then I started reading the
God
Bible.
just a guy with an old beard that's sitting up there listening?
Right.
It's
That was my opinion,
It's a slot machine. You say 5 prayers and you get a candy.
Yeah. And he must just act just like our earthly father, because that's the only kind of father that we know. And
Right.
so I took this time, it's so funny because when I first got locked up, the book cart comes by, you're locked in your cell 23 and a half hours a day. And they're like, we got the Bible or Louis L'Amour, which one do you want? So,
Cowboy stories or Bible stories.
yeah, so I'm like, I'll take Louis L'Amour, and God probably is laughing because I finally got you alone where I can talk to you and you're not even choosing the Bible, and,
Right.
But then, after meeting with that lady, I started reading the Bible, and I read stories like Jonah caught up in the belly of a whale. I said, I can relate to that, and then just different things. Joseph, being sold out by his brothers and had to be incarcerated for 13 years because sometimes you need to be humbled before you can be exalted. Sometimes you need to stop all that selfish living. And so there were a lot of things that really helped with my faith, and I would say the spark of it was refusing that medication and getting
Started
that
with making a
faith
refusal.
counselor. Yeah,
Being a renegade here.
yeah, crazy, huh?
So you didn't last 16 years, though? It came out early?
Yeah, this is another time that there was a God wink. So we had spent all of our money on private attorneys, and I was shipped off, and we spent 2 years waiting on an appeal. And when we finally got the appeal, there was no money to continue to pay for a private attorney, so I was going to have a court-appointed one. And many people listening probably know a court-appointed. Oh, you
No
got the public
good.
defender. This isn't going to work out well.
No good.
So I was
no.
so nervous, and then he shows up for our first meeting at the jail that I'm at, and I'm looking at this guy, and he came in jeans and a T-shirt, and I said, "Oh no, he doesn't even look like an attorney. This is terrible, And so we started talking, and his name was Mario Valencia. I'll never forget him, because he spent more time with me than any paid attorney ever spent with me. He looked at my pre-sentence investigation. He says, they say a lot of bad stuff about you here. Is there anything good to say? I said, I'd like to think so. I'd like to think there's He says, I'm going to have this thing rewritten. And then when we went into court for my new hearing, for my appeal hearing, it turned out, like this judge that was once just glaring at me and just seemed so angry, he was smiling that time. And it turned out that him and the judge actually went to the same church together. So out of all the people that I could have gotten Vegas, like, these guys are going to church together. I'm like, well, that's kind of cool,
Right.
And that
he
was,
might listen to another side of the story.
Yeah. He thought, wow, I didn't know all these facts about this guy before. And here he is with, Mario, who I know from church. And I'm sure it was easier to smile at me that time. And I just feel like that's a type of divine intervention that you can't make that stuff up. It's just... I'm like, wow, is God going to show up for me? Yeah, he sure did. He sent somebody that said, I got you covered.
He wasn't like your father that day. He was a different kind of father that day. All right, so how long did you serve?
So I wound up getting 188 months reduced to 120. And so I got out in about 8.5 years. Yeah, 8.5 years is how long it wound up being. Because no parole, but you do 85% of your time. So,
Wow.
yeah.
And then so how did all that lead into the Impact X franchise here?
Interesting thing happened. When I was in Las Vegas, Nevada, Lee Haney was in the gym. And if you don't know who Lee Haney is, Arnold Schwarzenegger won the Mr. Olympia 7 times. Lee Haney won it 8. So I was really impressed to see him. And I was like, I got to go up and get his autograph. So he gives me this autograph. And he wrote some other name on there. And then he had I thought it was like his sets and reps. Well, he wrote Matthew on there. And he wrote 5:14 to 16.
The chapter and verse in the Bible.
Right, yeah, I had to look that up. And so here that was way back, way back when I was trying to make my way to California. Interesting thing happened, years later, I come home from prison. I go through a job to Cyndy and I working together in fitness to starting our own business, and we become a franchise. And then this man that I meet along the way, who's my mentor and friend, Todd Durkin, he has a vision for a franchise called Impact X Performance. And what he wants us to wear on our sleeves is Matthew 5:14-16, because he wants it to be about being the light. And I'm like, I think this has been a plan for me for 30 years now. So, yeah.
You were probably driving by billboards and stuff that said this. You didn't even see it. You know?
I'm like that Bruce Almighty. Just give me a sign. And I was like, I'm putting them everywhere, you know.
I'm putting them everywhere. You're not looking.
Yeah, right. And so that was, that's, it's a short story as to how we came to be, but so many times along the way, we've had these God winks, just knowing that we're truly living our passion and purpose. Like, for example, when I came home from prison and Cyndy and I were working together, and we lost our jobs because the owner of the company had a different vision. And so we were traveling trainers, and my father was going to church with a lady. Her name was Rosa Giamichael, who said, oh, your son, he should have the space next to my salon. She was a bit of a landlord. She said, he could move in there and, he could do his fitness. I'm like, Dad, did you tell her that we're like unemployed and have no money? Like,
yeah,
right. Because that's not going to work. So when we get there and we tour her salon, and we're looking around, and she's showing us the empty space, and she's like, you could do this here, and you could do this. And so I told the story just like I rehearsed. I said, ma'am, you have a very nice space, but we're on an unemployment check, and we don't really have any money. So when we get ourselves together, we'll reach back out.
Call you.
Yeah. She says, I don't care about any of that. All I know is God told me that you're supposed to be here.
What?
I'm like, what? And so I got outside with Cyndy, and I said to Cyndy, I said, what do you think? This lady thinks God's talking to her about us. And she's like, what did you say?
I said, you can't argue with God. We better move in.
She says, I think we're starting a fitness business, And so that's how our previous company journey actually began. So many times throughout our whole journey, if you will, we've gotten these little God winks. And I think that, we're here now in California as something that's been planned for a long time coming.
And meeting Caren Ware.
Yeah, it's so interesting. I'm quickly doing social media, and I'm not the best at it, as you guys all see. You get the real raw form, and I saw a post that they had bought this gym, and I knew that it was faith-based, and I thought, this is awesome. I just felt the same thing, that this guy is from, and I flew to the East Coast, and I went to the convention in Whitefish, Montana, just to rub elbows and get
See, that's Caren.
charged.
I mean, who just sees a social media post says, I got to be in Whitefish, Montana. Let's just go. She did this a while. Somebody said about Guatemala and some group that was helping kids, and did you got to come? She's like, okay, how about Tuesday?
How about Tuesday?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
So I'm so very excited to let you guys all know that they're here in California. And that they are doing this amazing gym. It is amazing. You walk in and
what shocks me
there.
about Caren is she doesn't talk about this a lot, but she comes from a position of faith here too. And her whole run, I thought you're just, okay, so you're a promoter. You put on fun events, people come, they get bling, they have a good time, they come to the next one. Okay, I get it. You're a good promoter. And she says, but I'm trying to get people to understand I'm doing this for a passion and purpose too. I got a belief, a calling. I want to get people healthier. I want them to get them through life's challenges like I got through my many challenges. And maybe not overtly find God, but I want them to find something, some deeper passion and purpose here, and to help others and to create a community. And that's what started this podcast, because I said, I don't think that's coming across. You're just putting on the event this Sunday.
Well,
and then there's another one next Sunday, a month later.
I have a regular shirt on, but at the races, my shirt says, I am Caren Ware, because people think it's just a company name. And I go, no, we're people, and there's a person and there's a heart behind everything that, that we all do. And sports transcends politics, it transcends cultures, it transcends age and body
people,
types.
it brings people together. It brings you to a higher self. I can be a better self. I can be a better person. I can overcome my heart attacks or my addictions or whatever. Just get out and start working and run.
I think I shared that my mom was actually an orphan that was born to a teenage mother. And she had a one-night stand on an Indian reservation, hitchhiking to California at a young age when no one did. And so she was a half-breed, and she had all these marks against her. But two ladies opened the back gate of the little house that was all these orphans were in, and
which was like a church. Or
something. It was a Baptist church, and let them come into the church. And they led my mom to the Lord and gave her a heart that was amazing. And she named me Caren with the C, with the word Caren, my name, because that's Indian background is that you need to have a name that you want your kids to aspire to. And she wanted me to be a Caren person.
Oh,
So that,
So here we are just talking about how it's fun. Caren brings the bling, and there's a lot of people who just come because they get the medals, and it's silly, and they dance, and it's a fun run as well as a serious run. You get both serious runners, but a lot of fun runners, kids, families, people who wouldn't normally come out to runs here.
well, we're excited about Cinco de Miles. I hope to take a mic and just kind of put it in front of people and say, because we're all from somewhere. We're all from, some potentially bad background, good background. We're all from, different cultures or from here or there. And because of the 5 inner city Mexican boys and the girl, I got a call from the principal who said, hey, I want to know what you're doing with these boys.
Yeah, right.
And I'm like,
What-
because I had befriended them and had them come to the races, and
You
they
didn't
were
go through
getting
the
on the
official
metro,
process, right.
and they were and I'm like, deadpan quiet. He goes, oh no, I didn't mean it that way. He goes, what are you doing with these boys? In my school, we have El Salvadorians and Ecuadorians, and we have different cultures in different places in Mexico. They all war with each other. They don't get along, and they segregate my high school campus. I look out, and these guys are all sitting on the wall, and they're high-fiving each other. He said, do you know you have a Oaxacan, and you have you have someone from the West Coast and the East Coast,
who
and
normally wouldn't get along.
yeah, and I go, no, I don't. I thought they were all just, they have.
They're just
dark-
from Mexico.
they
I
speak-
didn't know
They
there's
speak Spanish. And he
subgroups,
goes,
yeah.
your Oaxacan doesn't even speak
The
Spanish. He speaks,
Nortes and the...
yeah, he speaks a
Well, I
dialect.
can tell you some stories about that.
Yeah. So, and I said they run together. They're unified in the community because they go to races together, and I drive around, and I bought them shoes, and that's what sparked the Caren Ware event. Let's just run together. And then while I'm running together, I want you to run into people, amazing people. I want you to run into Travis and his wife and hear their story. I want you to find, fit things and experiment with it. And a lot of people, and I think you brought it up, and said that running used to be like if you committed a crime in high school, go run laps. It was
Yeah,
a
it was a punishment.
It was a punishment. And then also kids would punish each other. Oh, you're this or that. You're not a good athlete. And so we've nullified a lot of our feeling that we can be comfortable and show up in any state, any personal, challenges
you
you're
can
going
be fat
through.
and run.
Yeah,
You can be overweight and run. You can
So
be
it
old
very
and run. You can be...
faint in the back of my Caren Ware events. If you look at it closely, it says we're the something for everybody, and everybody races.
Yeah.
What struck me as I went to her events is because I don't run. Because I'm not fat. I'm not overweight, I don't think. But I got a dad bod here. I'm not exactly sure that I want to go out and be embarrassed with all you guys here and everything. That's why I don't go to a gym. I'm
This is
embarrassed.
fitness.
I'm intimidated. And your first thing you should tell me she's number 12 or 11 in fitness or something. Immediately I'm like, I'm not coming to your gym. I'm not going to go hang out with you guys here because I'll feel stupid. I'll feel embarrassed. I'll feel intimidated. But I suspect it is that way at gym. It certainly is that way at her events. Everybody shows up. There's 90-year-old guys that getting over a heart attack. There's little old ladies. There's people trying to lose weight. There's little kids and families. And yes, there's a bunch of really buff, fit people timing themselves and getting ready for this is the warm-up for their next big marathon or something here.
And that's exactly why I brought them on, so that you guys can look it up. I'm going to let Travis plug it so you can find it online. You give them an address for it so you
Where
can
and
find
when?
it.
How do they find
Because
more
it
about
really
this?
is. You're going to see. Just go visit. Even if you're not from the area, go. You can take a drop-in class. You can test it out. Walk in and look at the lighthouse on the wall, and feel the
Maybe
vibe
there's
there.
something calling you.
Yeah.
Maybe there's a light there.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Our mission is to be the light, and even with the DECA events that we put on, it's a celebration of every level of fitness. We're talking about people over 70 years old. We're talking about people overweight participating in those types of events. So even our community events are like that. And when it comes to our group training or semi-private, we adapt it to everyone, even people that can't get down on the floor. Often people think, I got to get fit to go there.
Yeah.
No, this is where you get fit, and this is where you get fit for life so that you can start living longer and living better. We like to say that we add years to people's life and life to people's years. That's just so important. And so, yeah, we're right there in Huntington Beach. We're at 16470 Bolsa Chica, right there in Huntington Beach. If you want to give us a call, please give us a call at 657-845-4005.
And people can get a little sample of this because you do what? Before the run, you're going to give people a chance to warm up.
Yeah, we're going to warm them up. We're going to warm them up and
They really
fire
do have
them
great
up. Yeah.
personality. So I had a hard time finding it online. So what's your website?
Yeah, Impact X, IMPACTX, HuntingtonBeach.com.
And there's more. This is a franchise that runs
Yeah.
around the country here.
Yeah, so if you went to impactxperformance.com, you'd find locations in New Hampshire. There's another one right out here in California, in San Diego, just opened up. Our partner Todd Durkin, Indiana, Pennsylvania, New York. So there are those
So
locations.
it's growing, this
Yeah.
idea of being more than a gym, but to be a point of light and to point you in the right way here.
We like to say we're building lighthouses instead of opening up franchises.
There you go. There you go.
And then where else can you go? And he's saying something that's really true. As busy as we all are, yoga's there, working out is there, classes are there, recovery's
Do you
there.
do nutrition? Do you do other things like
We
that?
do. We do. In fact, we feel that nutrition is 80% of people's results. So from the time that you start with us, you get an exact plan to reach your goals by an exact date, and that includes nutrition. And we have you download a free nutrition app, so then that way you can show us when you come to the scale and you want to track your results. Because, hey, if we have a goal for weight loss, we better check in and see how we're doing. It's kind of like being on a road trip. You got to turn on the GPS to make
Right.
sure you're still going the right way.
Right.
And when they do come to the scale, quite often they'll want to share their journal and just get some advice to say, hey, how can I do even better? And so we're there to support the nutritional aspect as well as everything else, the recovery aspect, just the mind, body, spirit. It's a complete holistic gym.
A holistic gym. Never heard of it. Well, Caren, I got a new description. You got a holistic race.
There you go.
It's
Yeah.
a whole
Thank
group
you.
of people and
yeah.
a whole mind, body, spirit experience.
Something
It's
for
fun.
everybody.
It's silly. People dance. There's music. And along the way, they get better. And they get fit. And they wear silly hats.
You know, we got to have a couple of those hats to
Yeah.
put on.
Yeah.
Let's go.
How do you do that with it? How do you do this?
Oh, you got
Yeah.
more hats. Oh,
Oh,
my
look
Hey.
at that. Yeah.
I
We're
went-
going
she
to
made
end
me-
the show with May 2nd, which is this Saturday, Bolsa Chica, lot 25. Oh, you guys look good in those hats.
Whoa, this is my first sombrero.
It's not his first rodeo.
And by the way, 20% off. Code sombrero is 20% off, but I spelled it wrong. And they said, what is that word? Gringo. And but I spelled it both ways. So if you spell it wrong, it still will give you 20% off. But sombrero, 20% off. We'll see you there Saturday, May 2nd.
Okay. All right. Well, we're going to leave it there. Thanks for joining us, guys. What an amazing tale. And a story is just beginning. Come out this weekend to Caren Ware's latest event, Cinco De Miles. De Miles. What a clever name. Cinco De Miles at Huntington Beach's Bolsa Chica State Beach. Thanks for joining us. There you go. One more reason to tune in as we run towards life. Run into life. Right here on Caren Ware's weekly show. Showing you how to take on the challenges in life. Right here from Orange County's only community radio station, OC Talk Radio. Streaming live from our studio here at UCI's Beal Applied Innovation Center.